Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Austria to Rome run, and last episode we did a little bit of a thing. We made market moves. We did that good old-fashioned Hapsburgian diplomacy, and we got both Qing and Egypt into the market. This episode, we are going to be looking to do the South German Federation, as well as maybe form Austria-Hungary. The South German Fed, of course, we can do if we come in here and we do a launch unification play. However, we are going to wait a little bit because we don't have that widespread support currently among the German miners. We've improved relations with a lot of these guys, but we have to pull them into our market instead. And to that end, for our research plan, we're going to be going joint stock companies, and then we are going to be going central banking, which will allow us to bankroll people. So we're just going to keep making diplo moves. If we launch the play now, we can probably win, but it'll be a little bit messy. And depending on, the various attitudes, conservative agenda, I think there's maintained balance of power. We do have to worry about Russia or France siding against us if we start a play. And so we're just going to kind of, relatively speaking, chill and look to pass health insurance right now as we, continue moving forward. We have a fair amount of infamy, so it's going to be relatively chill, and then not so chill when we go after Prussia. We already did this in North Borneo, but I think this is a play pattern worth noting. We have gold mines in Transvaal. Unfortunately, if we come over here, we have a ton of turmoil, which is going to give us minus 50% state construction efficiency. And while we're integrating this, and this will be relatively quick, I just wanted to highlight this idea, which is that we can violently suppress Transvaal in order to reduce the effects, of this turmoil. It's minus from violent suppression as well as law enforcement because we are incorporating it. And then we can just build our gold mines here, and then once the gold mines are built, then we will just, like a thief into the night, disappear and take away our violent suppression. We only violently suppress to get the gold in there. We'll also add a couple construction sectors, which we don't really hate, and, build these gold mines. Okay, we see that Great Britain would be willing to accept a trade agreement if we had enough diplo for it. So what we're actually going to do is we are going to cancel, we're going to stop improving relations with Saxony, and we're going to get the trade agreement with Great Britain. The reason that we are going for having a trade agreement with Great Britain is this will give us ticking positive relations with them, which will allow us to declare more plays without having their relations drop to the point where they start interfering with a lot of their plays. Also with positive relations, we will be able to sway into their wars more often, in order to get, juicy bits. And so this is the main reason we want trade agreements with both Great Britain and France, who will also have a lot of global interest. It'll make everything a much less of a headache, down the road, and we can help them out in exchange for their stuff. For example, transferring Cape Colony would be something that we would really want in the event that they need our assistance, which they probably will. We finished getting public health insurance, and this is going to be absolutely fantastic for us. A big part of this is this +1 standard of living, which is going to allow us to pull more migrants from the Chinese, from Great Qing, whom we managed to incorporate into our customs union. Also, just wanted to note, public health insurance has some absolutely insane events you can roll for, like +40, 60% enactment chance, stuff like this. So as long as you don't have too much oppo, it's really, really easy to actually pass this. But you can see we will also be getting minus mortality, and so this will be fantastic for us. We, of course, have a problem now, so we're going to have some bureaucracy. In theory, you actually should front load this a bit, especially because we had over 90% chance, and so this is unfortunate, but we will be trying to do this. What I mean by front load is we should build government administrations before we need them. We didn't do that. We should have done that with the 90% enactment chance, but it is what it is, and we'll just build a bunch now, especially because we want to increase this institution to max level. So we will build a ton, and we will be trying to value, getting rid of this tax malice, which, okay, we already have some in the queue for that, but on top of getting rid of the tax malice, we're also going to get some of these up to economies of scale cap, because they will benefit from throughput. And so this is kind of our approach here, and with these, smattering that we have in the queue, we should be able to at least increase up one level on the institution. So this is pretty interesting here. We get a little bit lucky because the CSA, for whatever reason, really would be willing to become our subject in exchange for support in this play. And they will annex all of the USA, and then we'll have them as a subject. Yes, thank you. This was going to be an HRE Rome run, but who could forget the historical borders of Rome, which of course included the United States of America. So we'll ask them to become subject, and then we will do everything we can to try and win this war, which shouldn't be too hard considering the CSA is about as strong as the USA, so this should be pretty easy. We'll see how it goes. So we see a couple Intelligentsia guys who are, we can recruit as admirals, and we're going to recruit them and promote them to max level in order to give the Intelligentsia more clout. Kind of prefer that this guy's not authoritarian, but it is what it is, and we will come in here. Actually, authoritarian's not too bad considering what we're doing. We're going to come in here, we're going to land on the USA. We only sent about 50 troops or 50 stacks because we're just going to need to defend, and the bigger limiting factor for us is going to be convoys. It's a very limiting factor. We don't have a lot of ports we can build in Austria, and it's severely hampering. As you noticed from last episode, we actually had to actively research, a tech here. We actively researched hydraulic cranes, which I think we've done never, just so we could have, enough to get, looks like we have a revolution brewing, just so we could pull Great Qing into the customs union, because if you take a look, we have 10k convoy requirement from port connections, so there is a cost to have a Great Qing in the customs union, but there's also decidedly a very strong benefit in that if we take a look here, we have over 1 million Han Pops now that are migrating, which are pushing up our GDP just based on the migration alone. Here you can see the point at which around here is when we incorporated the Han Pops, and this is going to become even more pronounced when we manage to increase our institution levels on the health system, which is what we are, kind of focused on doing now, although that's all in the queue. So it looks like we've encountered a bug that, stops our ambitions here, because we need to occupy the capital, except we've occupied the capital this entire time. So not sure exactly why they're not ticking down, but it does look like we will not be able to enforce on the USA here, which is a bit sad. Not sure what we can do about it, though, because there's nothing to do. It's bugged out where we can't enforce even though we hold their capital. I'm not sure. This is definitely their capital state, United States of America. Big sad. Oh, I must have misunderstood the assignment. Apparently the capital state was Florida. Now they're getting enforced on. Big strange. I don't think we can get them fast enough, though, despite, being around 50% faster, unless, we somehow manage to occupy an enormous swath of land, unless them being, the CSA being our subject might make it so that they can't be enforced upon. Which it does seem to be the case. Okay, so the CSA can't be enforced upon, so we're going to win this war. High and nice. We see another play between the Ottoman Empire and Morocco. Now, let's see if we can sway our way into this as well. We could go for war goals, or we could go for war goals. We could go for obligations. Obligation from one of these guys might be pretty useful. If we can pull them into the customs union as a consequence. These guys are conciliatory and cold. We've been rivaling them. But these guys might be easier to get into the customs union. We'll have a little bit of a think on what we're going to do there, but we're probably going to side with Morocco. It'll be tough to defend them. Oh, unfortunately, we don't have an interest here in France as well. You can only have so many interests in so many places, although we could have assigned one. Big sad. We now have native interests in Dixie. We had an interest assigned in Dixie, which is how we got ourselves into this in the first place. Yeah, unfortunate. This would have been a really juicy one to sway our way into. So, after supporting Morocco, also, we got the CSA. Notably, they didn't annex the rest of the U.S., so maybe this is something kind of unique to the U.S. In regards to how things went, but they're our subject now, and we reduced autonomy on them. But what we can do here is now we can sway back, and now we have a little bit more options and more stuff we can go for. We can't really transfer much in terms of states, and they are going to take 3 states in Morocco, but it'd be much easier to just do this also, lol, because we formerly occupied them. Apparently we just have that front for free. A little bit of a strangeness there. But we can transfer subject with them, and we can just get kind of a free subject in exchange for, not really, and we'll just leave this war and we'll just let them have their way with Morocco, I think. And so we kind of want to think about which one would be best. We could look just based on acceptance score, which one they value most. They value Tripolitania the highest, which is kind of what we value because a lot of oil will appear there. But also Wallachia is a decent shout. We might just let the event go through for the formation of Romania, though, and then look to kind of, intercede or interfere in that sort of regard. So we'll just ask for Tripolitania, we'll sway the other side, and then we won't really help them out once the war starts, and we'll just kind of let them do their thing. Finally, we do get central banking, so we're going to make a little bit of adjustments here. We're going to stop improving relations with everyone except for the UK, whom we're just trying to improve to around 50, and then we'll kind of leave it, well, then we'll have to leave it alone. And instead, what we are going to do is we are going to engage in a bunch of bankrolls. We are going to bankroll Sardinia PA once, because, ooh, that's kind of an expensive one. We're going to bankroll them, though, and we're going to bankroll Papal States as well, trying to get them into the customs union. Württemberg, trying to get them into the customs union. I think Hanover's not in the customs union yet, and they're a relatively big one, and then we'll just do Saxony as well. And the idea is we are going to be trying to pull and siphon a lot of these guys off from German support. See here, we currently only have 3 supporters. Prussia has 13. We want to kind of flip that for a cleaner unification play, although we could probably win the unification play right now, especially because France is clearly occupied. Great Britain is, Great Britain and Russia are both kind of good attitudes with us, so they're less likely. So where it's unlikely we hit a situation where 2 people side with Prussia, which is kind of, what we want to avoid. But we'll just continue to make money moves for now, especially we have prop tax coming down the pipeline, and a new election, which is going to be really, really nice for us, because hopefully we can fix up some of this yikesy situations. The Kaiser being in charge, landed voting's not very good, but we'll try and get to something a little bit better. But for now, land-based taxation moving to prop tax is going to be huge. We started this, episode with like 250 construction. We're already up 150. If we get proportional taxation in this episode, we could conceivably even get up to like 800, 1K-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so this is kind of where we'll be doing. As far as tech goes, we could go for mechanized workshop and nitroglycerin in terms of production tech. We could even think about, going general staff. This would be not unreasonable considering we are planning on doing a pretty big war in a sec, but I think we're not going to do general staff, and I think we're going to instead, look and see what we can do, and I think we're going to go modern sewage. Well, actually, it's not spreading to us. Modern sewage is really good. It allows us to upgrade the construction sector max level, gives us more land trade, which is nice considering how many adjacents we have and how we basically have no convoys, so almost all of our, trade routes are going to be occupying a very, very little proportion of our convoys, and so that would kind of free up some central archives actually might be really good here. Same with Quinine. There's just so many good society techs here. I think we're going to go for Central Archives because we are, having a little bit of a sticky issue in regards to getting the health system on up. And I think that this will be pretty good and will give us a little bit of wiggle room. Actually, we're not really, really, really high pop, although we're coming up with those hom pops. And so I think we'll actually go Quinine instead, which will give +1 max colonial affairs, investment, and will allow us to do a little bit. Actually, no, we're going to go labor movement. Labor movement, basically, the big benefit from them is it allows you to demarginalize the trade unionists, but they're so, man, I'm super waffling here. They're not even close to being demarginalized, so that's not really going to be useful. We're just going to go nitroglycerin and go boom, boom, boom. We like the boom booms. USA, on the back of having problems, is having further problems. Unfortunately, we can't side in this against them because we have a truce, and we can't side on the other side because they hate our guts, understandably, because, we supported the slavery guys. So, yeah. So our new election comes in, and we can reform a little bit. We're going to choose this reform here, where we're going to have the industrialists in. Our legitimacy is not looking very good, but this will be considerably better. And also, it'll actually put in more government opposition to the law we're currently passing, because the industrialists don't like it. But hopefully this law gets through anyways and doesn't have too many, poor roles. Oh, actually, just the aristocracy opposes it. So this is fine. And this will allow us to pass better laws later, as well as be, more legitimate. We really, really, really do want to get onto, at least racial segregation, but we are having a little bit of a problem because the Austrian aristocracy, as a result of their unique IG thing, really hate this. And so just want to emphasize, last episode we said that we would probably re-roll if we were trying to do optimally, because we had the market liberal and the market liberal died. If the market liberal doesn't die, you can go racial segregation very easy. We may have to force a rev to do that, but we don't want to force a rev while we have, this issue of, German leadership still hanging in the air, because we don't want to encounter a weird situation. It's probably playable, but we're just not going to do it. We also, notably, a lot of our bureaucracy has come through, and we are also increasing the institution. And so we'll continue to do this, and we'll continue to build more bureaucracy. We have more in the queue as well, and just try and get these things up. Ferdinand van Hapsburg is not very good, and his son is, well, at least more popular, and he's not sickly, which is shocking given the Habsburg, kind of lineage and bloodline. But I think we're just going to abdicate here. We will get, instead, we will get more loyalists, and this guy will die, or we could get all pops become loyalist, and this guy dies. I think that... So if we get the aristocrats to generate a ton of loyalists, this is potentially going to allow us to enact some of the laws we want to pass a little bit faster. Everyone getting loyalists, let's do the aristocrats, and we will get this new ruler who will be a little bit better, and hopefully, we will get an heir that is not Austrian aristocracy. Also, the degree to which they were unhappy got reduced by -2, which is, kind of a small bump, but in terms of nominal figures, but this is going to be useful for trying to pass laws down the road here. And so just kind of a small thing, but if we get an heir that is, if somehow we're still on monarchy in quite a while, and we get an heir that is like Intelligentsia or Industrialist, this would be nice for us. So we get prop tax here, which is going to be insane for our income. We generally have to wait for a tick in order to see the difference, but we went from plus 30k to plus 150k, which of course we are going to use to build construction sectors. We're currently building 5 here. We're just going to up this to, plus 15, and we are going to look every single place where we have both iron and steel. We're probably going to max out construction sectors at this point. We've already been trending towards that anyways, but, probably also in southern Transylvania, because at the very least they have lead, which will go into glass, which will be nice. We'll put this on auto expand, but we're going to look to expand a ton of construction. Just a huge inflection point for, our ability to pop off. I think we're going to consolidate and merge a lot of these armies into kind of proper stacks now that we're at reaching this point, and we're going to recruit a ton of artillery as well to get ready for this war with Prussia. We have a ton of money right now, and so we are going to, inject in a whole bunch of ways. Also going to overbuild the bureaucracy, which we're kind of already doing, so we can keep increasing all the institutions. So this is a huge moment. We will also, come in and 51 this uni. We're already 31ing it, we'll 51 it. That way, once we get max economies of scale, it really benefits a lot from it. And so, yeah, just a huge inflection point. Remember, we started with, I think, 260 construction. We're going to go off. Now, I'm not going to say we overdid, adding additional construction by going up like 50%, but yeah, maybe we overdid it a little bit, but this will give us really good opportunities to build really profitable buildings because all the construction goods are pretty expensive. We have companies for these construction goods, and so this will help us to, kind of catch up, and we don't mind deficit spending in a general sense. Also, we had slotted in this metalworks conglomerate earlier. We could not slot in the unique Austrian company, at least until we have a level 11 motor industry, which we are working on right at this moment. But what we will be doing, is building a ton of really profitable buildings because we just added a ton of buy orders for iron in the market, making it much more profitable for us to be building. So we get the golden goose. We get the absolute golden goose, which is the UK. They're willing to transfer somebody. They're willing to transfer someone they really should never transfer. This should just be hard locked. And notably, Sierra Leone, nah, we can't give up that bread. But British East India Company, sure, why not? So we're going to transfer them. Now, this is going to cause an enormous problem once this happens, again, with the convoys from, needing to have port connections. And so we are going to get on it as best we can by maxing out as many ports as we can where we know we don't have too bad a construction malice, but it is what it is. I think we are incorporating North Borneo, so they should be able to do a decent amount, but there's not a lot of labor there. South Cameroon shouldn't have any turmoil, so we'll max that out. And Austrian Congo also shouldn't have any, so we'll max that out. Also, we're definitely cranking up at a pace that we might have to delete construction sectors. Unfortunately, we can't delete them when a rev is brewing. No migration controls. We're not super committed to this, so we could come off of it if we need to. But that's kind of the current state of things. However, once this liberal revolt, of course, the UK hates liberalism so much they're willing to give up the East India Company for it. Really, just kind of standard behavior from not psychotic at all in terms of the AI. Haven't seen this in a while. They lowered the weightings quite a bit for this type of thing. I'm wondering if it's acquire colonies that makes them more likely to defend. Certainly it's not promote liberal reforms because, the Lower Canada liberal revolt is getting put down. But I'm not sure. I haven't seen this in a couple run-throughs where they're willing to just give up the bag. But also, it might just be because our military is pretty strong, and something to this effect, because it does do it based on how big your military is, not how much they need your help. Yep. Here we have it. Notably, this is actually going to help with, the amount of money we need, because we're going to be getting around 50k from the Diplopacts from the Austrian East India Company here. So, in the midst of annexing Tripolitania for the main purpose of being able to build ports, Prussia launches the unification play against us, which is fine with us. People are less likely to join, it seems to me, if they are the aggressor, and so, or less likely to join on their side if they are the aggressor. Notably, there's a whole bunch of sways that we could maybe do, but Russia is leaning their direction, and the main reason Russia is leaning their direction is because, this. Yeah. So Russia got them into the market. Our market is also huge, by the way, Yeah, you see? And so we will be looking to try and get as favorable kind of a situation as possible here. Probably going for war reps. Russia probably supports them, and we'll try to get, some support from someone, whether it's France or the UK. That would be very nice for us. France may involve us giving up Rhinish territory, but we can reconquer it when we go, launch German play. So we can reconquer it when we do... Here, let's kind of come in here. When we launch the unification play, we can reconquer whatever we give up to France. So we'll probably look to give some of, Prussia's territories to France on a temporary basis, with the idea that we're going to get them back when we do, launch unification play. We get a little bit of an election in. Let's see if we can maybe, do anything. Well, so this is actually fairly legitimate, and we could actually decrease taxes. Except we can't really afford to decrease taxes, but this is an interesting one that we might want to do. We're trying to enact no migration controls. Oh man, it's just so tempting, because then we could try and pass stuff. But the problem is the aristocracy is going to strongly oppose most stuff we want to pass. This is still fairly legitimate. Once we pass the other stuff, I think that wealth voting only gives -5 on the no, it's -10. So we can pass stuff that's -5 on the aristocracy. And look to kind of undermine them. So I guess maybe after this we will be going dedicated police, because this is only -5, and it won't hit the -10, so they won't get thrown out of government. We obviously can't afford a revolution right now, because we are surrounded on all sides. We are fighting Prussia, Russia, and France in this war. Luckily, we do have, we do have Qing on our side, so this is going to be nice. I think we're going to recruit another cavalry contingent and put them over here, kind of last minute. This will allow us to sweep through Russia really quick. We haven't put in war goals yet, other than our leadership, and I think we're going to put in some, but we have to kind of think about what exactly it is we want, and we have reverse swayed our way into here. We are going to provide a little bit of troops because we do want Mexico to win, and we've reverse swayed for California, which notably has gold and gold mines, and of course has the thing we want more than anything right now, ports. So yeah. Alright, we have ourselves a war, and it is a bit spooky. We only put in war reps because we already had a decent amount of infamy anyways, and we have huge disadvantages, but we have a ton of conscripts recruiting on up, and so I'm thinking we can win this, but it is quite a bit. China did not really mobilize that much, or they didn't really distribute much to our fronts, so it's kind of us versus, France, Russia, and Prussia actually providing a very solid amount of troops, and they're probably going to roll through at least initially on our line. We do not want to allow Prussia to get annexations off on, the miners, really, but this is something that they have in, and so this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Also, we are struggling there, we are struggling there. We decreased taxes to try and get our law through faster, but we're just going to have to increase it, especially because these conscripts are going to become really expensive. We are running a bureaucracy deficit, and this will go away as soon as we finish Central Archives, so that's going to be a bit of a thing. We are going to just defend only for a little bit, and then kind of put in our pushers and also, try a landing from behind and this sort of thing. Alright, things are looking a bit rough here. They are actually making ingress into us. I think we're wearing down their morale, though, slowly but surely. And, we have a lot more defense than they have attack. We are actually attacking over here with kind of our one army that is set up to attack pretty well. And this is going decently. UK is doing something I'm not really sure what they're doing. They're moving around a lot of zero-stack armies, but they did come to support us. We swayed them in exchange for transferring this, so that was super cool. But it is a little bit rough going. We have landed Corsica in order to enforce war reps on France, and we are landing Alaska, with this army here, with the idea that we will be able to get a ticking war score on both Russia and France, while for the most part just defending and minding our own business. Once they have decayed a decent amount, we will probably try landing with one of our cavalry armies, maybe once they're around 60, and push the capital. We'll get pushed out, but then, we will get a lot of war score on the back of this on Prussia, and then repeat it with our second cavalry army if the first one manages to find their way into a front and we can't make them leave. Because they have, let's take a look. Because they have 4 generals, as long as they're occupied in battle, we can't pull them off a front, and so there's a good chance they will be effectively, bricked, and so this is why we're not just landing and re-landing repeatedly, because we would have to make new armies every time we did this. The small 20 stack we sent over here of just cavalry with as many speed upgrades as possible is absolutely crushing now that they've gotten to the front. Our allies are falling like flies, though. We are looking to occupy Alaska, but this is speeding up, and this will pull, a lot of pressure off of this front, hopefully, which is, we're kind of pushing and then getting pushed, pushing and then getting pushed. We also have coming in here our landing, and this one's going to get in because they don't have any forces secured here. And what is this? Wallachia wants a trade agreement. We might be... No, we actually kind of want to have our influence here, so we're going to say no to this. But now we have a bit of a choice here. We can decide whether we want to pull guys off of fronts in order to help, this, and I think we're going to do that. It looks like, loud car outside, it looks like we will... Oh man, we could bring this really caked up guy. We're going to look to try and find someone to pull off to put into this front so that we can defend here much more easily. We do have to be a little bit leery. We cannot get enforced on unless they occupy Austria, which is why this front specifically is so important. This is where almost all of our guys are, and we're still getting kind of, pushed in a couple of spots. We just have to be really careful that they don't push through Bohemia into Austria specifically, but since they're pushing in a bunch of spots, it's looking okay for us, and I'm thinking this alleviates the pressure, and this up here will also alleviate the pressure, and hopefully we can enforce on either France or Russia here, and then this will alleviate a ton of pressure. It's perhaps the case that we shouldn't have gone for war reps, because this makes enforcing these guys out a little bit harder, but we have ticking war score in Corsica and ticking war score over here, and we're going to get ticking war score in Alaska, so we should be in okay shape to get this done. So we get our first tick below 0. We did move a defensive army up here to kind of help facilitate the advance. They aren't really pulling off of this front. We're not going to pull any more guys off of the front, but UK is actually being useful landing France here. And, in terms of people who want out of the war, France wants out, Prussia wants out, Russia kind of wants out. Russia is actually the most occupied, and we're also getting the occupation up here. But it's looking pretty good here. We had also conscripted up a whole bunch, and the conscripts weren't fully raised, and as they've been coming up, this has been getting increasingly expensive. We are in trouble, economically speaking, but they are managing to hold the line here in the most critical portion. That way we can't get enforced on, and as long as we have this, guy stuck in here, they will get an enforcing war score at some point in time, and it looks like they're just not interested in, defending that well. There are several units here. We do have this massive Qing army here, which is going to help a lot on the defense. We might even move our one like really good offensive army if we get a chance, because they're going to constantly be occupied in battles, making moving them hard. But if we get a chance, we might move them over here to try and, you know, make sure we can grab the capital here. So France is out and paying us war reps, so the end is kind of nigh here for Prussia on the back of that, because I don't think they're gonna, you know, make any sort of comeback without this, realistically speaking. We do have to be a little bit leery and watch to make sure our guys didn't get unassigned from the front. You know, checking this is important on 1.5.5 specifically, because, you know, guys get unassigned from the front. This guy is, in case they try a cheeky naval landing, just keeping a little bit in reserve here, but it's looking really, really good for us. You know, we are keeping an eye on this army because we do want to move them over, but if they just occupy all this land over here, this works for us as well. France wants a trade agreement again. I think we're going to, I'm not sure if we want to do this because we're going to need to fight them at some point, but let's say yes. The trade agreement didn't help us before to, you know, not get guys siding against us, but if we take a look, yeah, it looks like they're pretty willing to, oh wait, that's giving up the bag. We want to take the bag, right? I'm so used to being the offensive guy. It looks like they are willing to accept this peace deal, actually. Everyone's like, hey, we're over this. We're over this war, and so we will get this, and then we should form the South German Federation. We got a little bit of border war with their vassal here, but we did make sure to get all these guys into the customs union before this, and so we will get statesmen are national heroes plus popularity, I think is probably what we want to do, because we actually have both these guys in Gov right now, both the guys we are interested in having in Gov, so we will say plus popularity to them, and we are also suppressing the aristocracy. I think we're going to go for something that, you know, forces them, I think we're going to go into a situation where we're just going to, as long as there's only just the aristocracy rebelling against us, we're going to pass as many laws as we can through them. But we do notably have this boyo now. We got a market liberal back again. It's a little late to the party, but we can promote him to government at some point in time. And we have Garibaldi, who might leave now that we've done this thing. But we get the South German Federation here, except for it's not called the South German Federation yet. I thought it was supposed to be called that. We do get this massive unification, though, and so this is going to be good for us, and now there is no more unification for anyone else but us, and so what we will also do is we will make sure we improve relations with them here, and so we will try and figure out actually a way for us to get a lot more Diplo. We have a lot of customs unions, bankrolls, this type of stuff, and so we will take a look at that. Okay, so we couldn't really find stuff that we liked in terms of generating a bunch of influence, and so what we're going to do is something a little bit cheesy. We're going to declare a rivalry on Prussia. This is the only one we can declare a rivalry on. We're going to start bankrolling them, and then we're going to end the rivalry. And so this way, we get the bankroll, we will have negative influence, and we will get to keep kind of what we have going on. We will need to rival them repeatedly in order to do anything, but, like, so for example, once we get an obligation from Schleswig, we will rival Prussia and then invite them to the customs union and then unrival Prussia. But doing this will allow us to juggle an additional 200 influence. There's nothing really wanted to get rid of. We can kill the trade agreement with the United Netherlands. Maybe this one's okay, but you know, in terms of rivalries, we can only rival Prussia and the US because we have good relations with everyone else. Yay! We maybe would be okay with having negative relations with Russia and rivaling them, and so maybe we'll look to do this, but this is a neat little trick you can do to generate a little bit of extra Diplo. So this event might push us over the edge of being able to pull Spain into the customs union, so we are going to get plus 30 approval from them and extra standard living for the lower strata in the Libyan desert. We can see now we can invite them to the customs union using an obligation, so we might just end the trade agreement. Oh no, wait, we don't want to end the trade agreement because this will make them upset, but this will also free up some Diplo. So we'll come to our Diplo bank, we will declare a rivalry, we will invite them to the customs union, we'll owe them an obligation, not too big a deal, and then we will end our rivalry before unpausing, and this way we will be able to pull Spain into the customs union, which will free up a little bit of Diplo because now we won't have to have the trade agreement because they're in our customs union and they're in the big Austrian market. Looks like we are returning to our former Qin glory glory, because Spain was a part of, the Austrian sphere of influence. Now we have to get Netherlands in there. But I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This episode, we got German leadership. We turned our entire top bar red, and we went from like 260 construction to 800 construction, so big come up. I think we can just build into this. I don't think that this is untenable, so we're just going to keep constructing and just look to not add any additional construction. But the big one is we now have German leadership, and we free annex everyone in kind of the South German sphere off the back of this, and we will be looking to form Mega Germany probably next episode. We need to get everyone on this thing supporting us, the most difficult of which will be getting Prussia supporting us, right? They really don't like us. If you see here, their support is minus 110 because they have this belligerent attitude, and Prussia is also a major power. However, if they get a positive attitude towards us, they will support us. And so this is essentially why we are bankrolling them and trying to do this. They are damaging relations, but they can't beat us through a damaged relation and a bankroll. This actually means that we will have to rival Russia, because once we do this, we can start improving relations with them as well. The bankroll and damaged relations cancel each other out, but if you bankroll and improve relations, there's no way for them to not be able to do this. And so this is kind of what we will be doing next episode, but I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It does help out, especially looking to hit 10K by the end of the year, which would be fantastic. And other than that, have a good one.